Welcome everybody. I'm Layne LaVanway, and you know what time it is. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about The Imitation Game. Okay, so I got to go see The Imitation Game this weekend with my wife, and of course it stars Benedict Cumberbatch, who is fantastic. It was also directed by Morten Tyldum. I believe is how you pronounce it, Tyldum. And this movie, I believe this movie is really well done. So this movie is about a cryptanalyst, Alan Turing, during World War II, who was brought in by military intelligence to try to help break the Germans' Enigma code, which they had an Enigma machine, but the machine had many different elements, and so that it had like 159 million possibilities, and they changed it every single day so that you only had that day's worth of work to try to solve out what they were sort of break the code, and then the next day at midnight, the code was changed again, and all your day's work was worthless. And so Alan Turing came in and sort of assembled this team, and the movie's about him trying to build this machine that will allow the code Enigma to be broken. Now, this is based off of a real story, and this hero sort of the war who was able to, spoiler, eventually able to break the Enigma code. But the fact that it's based on a true story, does that mean that every single element in this movie is true? No, of course not. It's never like that. It's not a documentary about Alan Turing. It's a dramatic piece of entertainment. So, I don't know the full story of Alan Turing, so how completely accurate is it? I don't know. I know things are going to be done for dramatic purposes, because in our real life, it's just not as dramatic in a 2-hour time span that hits all these types of dramatic beats. Yes, there's lots of drama in life, especially for someone such as Alan Turing, who had this thing with the war going on. Plus, he was gay, and in this time period, it was illegal. He was in Britain. It was illegal to be gay, and you could be chemically castrated for being gay. You go to jail for being gay. So there's a lot of real drama was in this man's life. But when you're making a piece of entertainment, and there's things like the music, and there's certain beats you want to hit to sort of create emotion in people, that sometimes has to be fabricated to make things work out. And so if that's something that bothers you, that's a different element than just the fact that it wasn't all real. Of course it wasn't going to all be real. But as a piece of entertainment, was it good? Now, this is obviously up for your own personal opinion. I've been reading lots of people who didn't like it, who thought it was very that it was just the writing was bad and that it was sort of predictable, along with people who were upset at what was changed about the Alan Turing story. So I didn't know the Alan Turing story really, so there was nothing there to bother me. And there are some moments that felt very like I've seen these types of dramatic moments before. There's no surprise here, but overall I really enjoyed this movie. It kept me interested, and Benedict Cumberbatch was amazing in this movie. He tells you in the beginning of the movie that you need to pay attention. You don't get to ask questions. He's not going to repeat himself, and he's not going to go back or anything like that. He's just going to tell the story, and you need to be paying attention. And that's what you need to do. You sort of need to pay attention. This character is a genius. Alan Turing is like this genius, but like I think a lot of geniuses, he's sort of socially awkward, along with the fact that he's gay, and in a time when that isn't acceptable. And so he hides himself, who he really is. He has to imitate real, like being a normal person, and he's not very good at it. And so he's not very personable. He can be arrogant. He has a large ego. He doesn't make friends. He doesn't get along with people very well. And throughout the movie, you watch as he slowly is starting with his team to try to develop sort of these relationships with these people that he spends years with. And Benedict Cumberbatch pulls that off beautifully. He really makes him a character that even though I didn't like him even though you don't necessarily like him completely, he is a character you want to get behind and you want to enjoy. And there was actually more humor in this movie than I thought there was going to be. And a lot of it came just from the awkwardness of Alan Turing's character, who just doesn't fit in well, or he doesn't understand why people say things or do things or talk the way they talk. And so it created some of these quite humorous moments. You also get these like flash forwards and flashbacks in the movie. You get flashbacks to Alan as a child. You get flash forwards to what's taking place in the 50s as he's being discovered as a gay man, and sort of the life, that the thing that's happening with him and police and those elements. And you sort of are flashing back. And then the past was not that interesting to me. I mean, you get to see some of what they talk about in the movie with Alan and sort of his inspirations and how he came to be where he was. And then in the future, you're building towards the end of the movie where you find out, where he gets caught for being gay and he has to make a choice. Does he go to jail or does he get chemically castrated? And so it builds up to that. But definitely the World War II stuff was far more dramatic for me, far more exciting. That's what I wanted to watch. How are they going to break this code? What's happening with these people? Are they going to like him? Are they going to get along? And so that was definitely preferred on my part. Now, there were a few things, I can't even say there's anything I didn't like about the movie, but some things that were a little, there was in the movie, there was what I call a House moment. If you ever watched the medical drama that used to be on television called House, and generally in every episode, there'd be something near the end of the episode that somebody would say something, or he would be talking to someone, he would say something, and then he'd freeze, and like it'd be up on his face, and the camera would kind of come up on him, and his brain, as he was figuring out suddenly, like that turn of phrase or something, suddenly clicked something in his brain for him to figure out what the medical problem was. Well, there was a moment like this in the movie with Alan Turing, and I mean, immediately I thought, oh, this is a House moment, and that was a little strange. It didn't pull me out completely, but it was an odd moment for me to feel that. And then some of the flash forward stuff, and the flashbacks I didn't care for, and I could predict some of what was happening in the flashbacks. Like I was like, oh, I bet this kind of thing is going to happen. Yep, that sort of happened. And there are a few moments like that again because of Alan working with the government, and there were some moments I didn't expect, but there were, oh no, there it looks like there's a spy inside the group, and how does that play out? And that plays out a little predictable, and and then the way Alan is going to get used a little bit by the military intelligence, some of that plays out the way it works out a little bit. It's predictable, but it doesn't. To me, it didn't make the movie bad. I was enthralled watching the whole thing. One other thing that I really loved was I knew that they were going to solve the Enigma problem, the puzzle. They were going to solve that. Eventually, that was going to happen. What I really liked is they show. I hope that's not a spoiler for you. But what they show is the consequences of solving the equation. It's not just, oh, well, now we've broken the code, so there's so much we can do. Because the problem is you can't let the Germans know that you've broken their code or they'll just change it. So suddenly you have all this information. You can break every message and know all the attacks that are going to be happening. There's so many lives you can save. But you can't save them all. You can't even attempt to save them all. Because if you do, the Germans will realize their code has been broken. And so you have to selectively choose which people you can save and which people you can't. And not only that, but then when you do save them, there has to be a way you can get the information out of an alternative way that intel was discovered. And I really just like that they dealt with that. Okay, so I'm giving this movie an A-. This is something I really enjoyed. I highly recommend it. I will purchase it on Blu-ray because I really liked it, and I would love to watch it again. I think it's really good. I highly recommend it to you. And remember, going in this, especially if you're a fan of Alan Turing, there's the real life person. That this is a dramatic representation. It's a Hollywood dramatic representation of this character's life. So things are changed, things are condensed, moved around, characters are added or taken away in an attempt for what Hollywood feels is a dramatic turn. So if you like it for that, like it for that. Don't dislike it just because it wasn't completely accurate. Alright guys, that's all the time we have. So make sure you like this video. Let me know, support the video. Let me know you like what I'm doing here. And if you like, go ahead and hit subscribe because then you can see all the movie reviews plus the new shows that are coming out. Right now we've got Psych Flicks every single Friday where we take and analyze a popular new movie from a psychological perspective, and we worm our way into a character's head to try to figure out what makes them tick so that you can better understand the characters that you love or hate. We've done Voldemort, we've done Elsa's parents from Frozen, we've done The Grinch, and we've done Annie, and we've got like Into the Woods coming up, and we've got Bella from Twilight coming up, and so you might want to subscribe just to check those out. But the links to those videos are all down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really enjoying doing this. I'm just a regular guy who just likes watching movies. I've been watching movies my whole life, going to the theaters, going to cheap theaters. Like, every date for my wife is going to the movies. You know, she likes movies too. But, you know, she wants to go do some other things. But I'm always like, let's go see a movie. I want to go see a movie. And I just like talking about movies. And this is kind of like, you know, I can talk to my friends about movies. And now I talk to the camera. And I talk to you guys out there in YouTube land about movies. And so it's fun. So come back. Join the conversation. Leave comments. We can talk about these movies, whether you disagree with me or not. You know, good conversation down below. And until next time, watch more movies.